Good morning, college basketball fans. Welcome into the Monday show, the college basketball show, three-man weave presented by sportsbookreview.com. We are here to talk games. We are here to talk lines. But first, pretend you're a Kentucky fan and treat that like button like it's the panic button. Just smash it. That's where Big Blue Nation's at right now. So let's just follow suit. Hit that like button. We appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel, the SBR channel. That helps them out, helps us, and then we can help you. We can hopefully give some winners, or maybe even not winners. We'll find out. Guys, let's get to some weekend takeaways real quick before we talk this thin slate of Monday basketball. I need you to help me out on my takeaway. Who is the best defensive squad that wears a shade of orange? Is it Clemson, Texas, Virginia, or Tennessee?
Wow. Jim, that's a good question. I'm inclined to say it's Clemson at the moment. They haven't proved me wrong yet. But Texas, for my eye test, tells me they're number one on the defensive end in orange because of their extreme length, extreme athleticism.
Yeah, Jim, you met Clemson number 2 right now in KenPom's overall defensive rankings. I'm going to go with Ky here in Texas. Just the sheer length they have there is overwhelming. And I think Clemson is more of a system defense where Texas can kind of elevate that to a new level with their just forest and trees of Gumby elastic athletes. So yeah, I think they're the real deal.
To be clear on the question, those teams are 2, 3, 4, 5 in KenPom's adjusted defensive efficiency right now.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to say Tennessee. I think Tennessee's the best defense of that group. Ky, what is your takeaway from this weekend?
Jim, my takeaway is the Missouri Tigers are a top 25 team. They will make the tournament. They will win the SEC. They will win the national title. The Missouri Tigers are for real. That's Jim and my alma mater for those not aware at home. Beat Illinois. We look good. 5-0, 3 awesome wins against solid competition. I'm excited. It's a good time to be a Tiger fan.
Matt, what about you?
Jim, the ears of West Virginia are the real deal. We saw a bad first half against North Texas, but if you just kind of look at their entire resume start to finish, they were taking a quick nap, but then Huggy Bear came in like an angry father trying to get a kid out of bed at halftime and just shell-shocked them. They were quickly up 15 on a very good North Texas team. We saw them put Richmond, in the sleeper hole. They were up 30, I believe, early second half. So far to date, only one team has played Gonzaga, has really given Gonzaga a tough test. And the Ears, again, they led Gonzaga by 9 in the first half. I don't think Gonzaga will be losing by 9 points at any point throughout the rest of the year. So I think that holds its weight in gold. We'll talk about futures later, Jim. So a quick teaser. West Virginia has value right now, but we'll talk about them later.
That's right. There's only like 10 lined games at all today. So we're going to check in on the futures market down the outline there. But let's get into the games, guys. We've got a Big Ten showdown tonight. Rutgers headed on the road to Maryland. This is the second Big Ten game of the season because Michigan and Penn State kicked off yesterday. And guys, we saw a ton of Big Ten home teams cover last year, but Penn State covered on the road. So is, one game sample. Should we throw out the Big Ten home court this year? Matt, I'll kick it to you first. What are you thinking here? Rutgers, Maryland.
So I was just thinking about that. Like Rutgers has this perception, right? We talked about this on our podcast a few times that they're they're really good at home and they're not as good on the road, but they actually were phenomenal on the road last year against a number. So they're they're a team that their style travels well, right? They're an unselfish team. They're physical. They'll beat you up on the boards. In Maryland, we're still trying to figure out who they really are. They kind of like NC State and a few of these teams that really put the hurt on some lesser competition. I still kind of have Maryland on fraud alert, to be honest, right now. And I think Rutgers comes out and really puts the hammer on the Terps early here. Ky, are you going to ride me here with the Scarlet Knights?
Matt, yeah, I'm leaning your way. I agree. I think the Maryland team we saw against Clemson is probably closer to the reality of the Terps team than we saw when they were just destroying them in major competition. Now, I don't think they're bad. I think they're still a solid team, and they're probably not going to get blown out constantly by these Power 6 teams. But they're just pretty good. They're not a top 30 squad. They're going to have their hot shooting nights. They certainly have a solid guard tandem, but Rutgers is just a better basketball team, guys. And I love the physicality of Rutgers. I think they're going to dominate the paint in this one, really D up on the perimeter, even without Geo Baker, who is uncertain if he's going to play tonight. I still like the Scarlet Knights. I think it's up to +2.5. I got the lines up now. It is +2.5.
Oh,
and
man. It's big time. Kai's got lines.
I love it. +2.5 for Rutgers for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the under here, 137.
Yes,
I think we saw Michigan and Penn State, two teams that have lit it up so far this year, combined for 120 yesterday. Big Ten is just a different animal. There's a grind. The teams are so familiar with each other. Play is a little slower. The defenses kind of step up. So I like the under to start off Big Ten play here.
Yeah, we saw Jim Penn State, Michigan yesterday go under. Kind of that first little sneak peek of the trend.
Just said that, Matthew. Come on, buddy.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry.
Literally said they combined for 120 points. But another note here: Rutgers coming off a big win over Syracuse, a former Big East foe. That's kind of like a big program win, kind of a needle mover for them to say they knocked them off. Whereas Maryland frustrated off the loss to Clemson. So perhaps that spot sets up a little better for the Terps. But I'm with you guys. I lean towards Rutgers, and I like that under. All right, let's move on to a Big East battle. I believe the first Big East conference game of the entire season. Oh, no, Seton Hall and St. John's have played plenty, so not the first one. But Marquette headed on the road to Creighton. Marquette actually coming back from the West Coast, where they struggled late in the second half against UCLA. They scored 4 points in the final 7 minutes to not cover against the Bruins. Do we see a little better performance from the Golden Eagles today, or Kai, are you leaning more towards Creighton here, the big home favorite?
It's hard not to like Creighton this year. They've been a wrecking ball, sixth best offense in the country, just a ridiculous combination of shooting and sneaky athleticism. Christian Bishop, a guy that Matt's been hyped over for years now, 6'7" center, just does everything for them. I mean, he's active, rebounds, can drive to the hole, can even shoot a little bit. We saw Marquette beat Wisconsin in that weird fashion, but didn't cover against Green Bay, got beat by UCLA. You said, Jim, they went really cold late in the game. Without Samir Torrance, who's doubtful tonight, as a backup point guard to DJ Carton, they're going to struggle, I think, handling the ball. And frankly, the spread feels high. I just cannot bet against this Creighton team currently.
Yeah, it's open 7 at Chris, and it's kind of stayed around there. I saw bigger numbers at other places earlier, but I think like Circa opened it bigger. But it seems like 7's relative consensus right now. Matt, where are you at here?
Yeah, I'm looking at the total for a lot of the same reasons Kai mentioned with I think defense is actually going to be the key element in this game. You'd think both teams kind of have that offensive reputation. But Marquette, just a kind of a bruising interior front line, Theo, John, and enforcer inside. This team's built to defend. The first time Wojciechowski's had a team like this in Marquette. Creighton, while they can put up points in bunches, they're not quite dialed up to 11. The offensive meter is, kind of at 9 right now, I would say. Zagorowski's not 100% healthy. They still talk about how he's getting working his way back into full strength. They're playing some more bigs with Ryan Kalkbrenner, the 7-foot freshman. So they have a little more inside-out balance, which I think could actually play to a slightly slower pace. And I just want to beat into the ground the conference game drum. We've talked about it previously. Jim mentioned with the Rutgers-Maryland matchup, I think you see a similar type of dynamic here. The nerves a little tight, pace should be a little bit slower, maybe a little sloppy offensively. So I see the total up to 151 on some places. I think that's got good value.
Yeah, Creighton just played a massive track meet with their rival Nebraska. We saw Iowa and Iowa State do the same thing. Non-conference rivals played up. I think some of the in-conference games will play further down in tempo and in efficiency. So yeah, I'm with you there with a lean, but nothing official for me on this one. I just love watching Creighton hoop, man. They do some clever things offensively. They know how to get Bishop set up for lobs constantly. So it's a fun team to watch. Let's move on down the line here. Back to the West Coast, actually my local city here, probably about 10 miles away from where I am. Pepperdine at UNLV. Oh boy, guys, the Waves, they stepped in it. Lost to Cal State Northridge over the weekend. UNLV has not exactly been a machine so far this year, struggling a little bit. Two teams with dynamic duos here. I think that's kind of the crucial part. The issue is that I don't know if UNLV has anyone that can guard Kessler Edwards. He's so versatile, can score inside and out. Matt, where do you see this one going? Does Pepperdine get back on track on the road here?
Yeah, I think it was just a tough spot for him against Northridge, Jim. And Northridge, under the Fighting Mark Gottfrieds, they have some talent there. So when you Pepperdine, when you put talent, when you're looking in the mirror, it's just not a great matchup. Wasn't a great spot. So I think you kind of have to throw that one out. You look at what they've done throughout the entirety of the season before that. The win at Cal was very impressive. They took San Diego State to the wire, UCLA, triple OT. They toyed with UC Irvine. This Pepperdine team is for real. And I just think they kind of come out and reassert their dominance against a UNLV squad that still doing some soul searching, right? We can count on is Bryce Hamilton taking about 30 ill-advised shots tonight. So If that's a certainty, which I believe it is, then I think Pepperdine's actually the right side here. Kai, where are you at?
Yeah, I think CSUN might have kind of exposed the weakness of Pepperdine. That is the defensive end. They're not a great defensive team. Offensively, they're fantastic. Colby Ross, he'd be a mid-major All-American if there was such a thing. Fantastic point guard for them. And UNLV, guys, like you said, Matt, one of the sloppiest, most undisciplined teams I have watched this season. Bryce Hamilton, he takes just the dumbest shots. Clearly a talented player. He's very, very good. He just makes really, really poor decisions. So I lean Pepperdine in this one. Open at 1. I'm seeing 2.5, 3. I'm not going to take it at that price. They're just a better team. I do, however, like the over a lot in this game. I think there's going to be a lot of points. Like I said, neither team really interested in stopping one another. Yep. I'm seeing 149.5. I'll take the over.
Yeah, UNLV just played a grinder at K-State. They're coming off travel. I think it's a team that wants to run. So this kind of sets up for them where both teams can be willing participants in the up and down style. The thing with UNLV's offense, you mentioned Hamilton, it's kind of a my turn, your turn with David Jenkins.
Right.
We say that my turn, your turn very derogatively towards teams. Like, it is not pretty when that's the whole system. It's kind of just like, all right, you ISO, I'll ISO. Let's ignore Caleb Grill, who's made 6 threes already today. Like, it's frustrating because I think Otzelberger is a pretty good coach, but he doesn't seem to have control of them. The offense doesn't really run smoothly. So, yeah, I think I can stomach taking a Lorenzo Romar team against Otzelberger here. But I'm with Kai. The line's probably not really where I'd want it to be to take Pepperdine at this point. All right, let's move on. Another Mountain West team here, Nevada, heading on the road to San Diego. The Wolfpack have struggled a bit lately. They got beat up by San Francisco at home, and then a loss at Grand Canyon, where they kind of got turboed down the stretch. Grand Canyon really pulled away late. San Diego only played one Division I game. They hung around at UCLA for a while before kind of getting crushed the last 7 to 10 minutes. Clearly ran out of gas. Kyle, head over to you for this one. There's some decent talent in both backcourts here, but Nevada, maybe a little bit of an edge. It's definitely like a higher expectation heading into the season here. Middle tier Mountain West versus low tier, maybe the worst team in the WCC. Where are you at?
Yeah, that's the thing, Jim. I just don't think San Diego's very good. Their logo is awesome. Check out the bottom of the screen. Toreros. I mean, that's an incredible logo. But smashed against UCLA, maybe you need to caveat that a little bit with their first game out of quarantine, first game of the season. Nevada coming off that tough loss against a good Grand Canyon team that just almost beat Arizona State. So I don't have a huge take on this game one way or the other. I lean Nevada because, like I said, USD doesn't do much for me. Jim, we're fans of their coach. Obviously, Scholl has been good for that program, in our opinion, but I just don't think they can stay within the number tonight.
It's a Nevada team that's actually built to match up pretty well with San Diego, who's playing primarily through Jim, I need pronunciation check here. Yahuan Masalski inside.
Yahuan Masalski, yeah.
Masalski. All right, I'll give myself a B- on that one. But he was a very effective player. San Diego, as Kai mentioned, not a ton of talent. They have a few pockets of decent, offensive firepower, but I think they want to play through him inside. But Nevada actually has some size to combat that this year. They're playing a little bigger with, I think, Juan Carlos Reyes and Zane Meeks up front. The question for Nevada is their guards.
Reyes is gone, Matthew. I'm sorry to break it to you.
Oh, that's right, not Reyes.
Washington and Meeks and Robinson.
Washington, that's right. Yeah, so they have some options who can neutralize Masalski up front. But I think the key for Nevada are those guards. Cambridge and Sherfield, the former Brown transfer, the former Wichita State transfer. A little bit erratic so far, but they are, I think, clearly the two best players on the floor when they're out there tonight. If they play like, I think Nevada, asserts their will and wins pretty easily here.
Should be mentioned, this game is being played at Jenny Craig Pavilion, also known as the Slim Jim, which is it's the best arena nickname in the entire country. San Diego, Jenny Craig Pavilion, the Slim Jim. Oh man, what a spot! I've actually been there. What a lovely little venue. All right, guys, should we take a quick chat mob break? Any questions there? I mean, I know there's a very light slate today, so there's only so many games we can even talk about. But, Matt, anything coming through there, or should we move on?
Yeah, we may as well hit the entire slate here. So I'm looking at William & Mary. They're coming up here as a popular request.
We'll get to them later.
Yeah, let's hold that for the best bets. Yep.
I saw very first comment, Larry Ocean asked about LSU versus Sam Houston State. I'm seeing spread 25.5. I know it was 26 earlier. I'm leaning Sam Houston State, guys. The Bearcats are something small. I'm not confident in it. LSU could absolutely blow the doors off them, but that's the way I'm leaning.
It was just reported that Will Wade will not be coaching in this game due to COVID-19.
Hammer the Bearcats. Hammer the Bearcats.
If that matters to you, and it's an early start on the East Coast.
Right. Sleepy spot.
And yeah, check that
I'll be honest, Jim. I question how much coaching he would have been doing in general, especially against Sam Houston State in basically a new or whatever. What time's this game tipping off at?
12 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, in an hour and a half or a little over an hour and a half.
Larry Ocean also asking about Radford. Who's playing? I'm blanking on who their opponent is. Longwood. Decimated
Longwood
injuries.
and Morehead today. We got great team names.
Oh wow, perfect. We love Longwood. We do, but they're just hurt right now. That's the issue. We love their coach Griff Aldridge. I just don't feel like now is not the right time to back him. It sounds like Larry's eyeing a Radford play. Larry, you might be onto something there. I would have that spread closer to 5 if you account for all the injuries, which it's Longwood, not exactly the most robust reporting network out of that school. But Ky, any takes there?
Radford for me. Yeah. They're not. They're going to be better than I think people think.
Yeah, I like the under 2. We've already mentioned the conference play angle. I think this one plays pretty slow. Radford turned over basically its entire roster and is grinding this year. And Longwood has always been a little bit more of a half-court team. And again, like Matt said, they're shorthanded, so that plays more to a slower game as well. So those would be the leans there. What else we have, Matt? Anything else?
I see no Ole Miss Central Arkansas, which I believe is the only game on the card that we haven't discussed, won't discuss. So maybe we just keep that in our back pocket. We can come back to that. I'm sure someone wants to know about Ole Miss Central Arkansas. Got to be plenty of inquiries out there.
Yeah, man. You got Kermit hoops. Sometimes you gotta. We'll hold that for the end. But yeah, all right.
Let's say that.
We talked Longwood. Let's talk Morehead. Eastern Kentucky heading on the road to Morehead State for an Ohio Valley Conference game here. This is a rematch, fellas. The Eagles almost got it done at Eastern Kentucky, gave them a huge scare. A game I believe that opened around 12 or 13 and closed 9.5. A lot of people were riding Morehead State in that one. Do we think they get it done from a revenge angle here? Matt, I'll go to you first. They are the home dogs. Are you sticking with Morehead State?
Well, Jim, they were following us. I think we opened the floodgates for all this team that came in on Morehead, and I'll be leading it again tonight. I'll be opening up that floodgate once more. I just think Morehead's the right play here. We saw Morehead basically, they jumped on EKU early. They fell apart in the second half because EKU ramped up the pressure. So the question is, do you look at that second half as an omen of what's to come tonight, and EKU does that for 2 halves, or do you look at just the first half as more of a better indication of who Morehead can be this year? They've really underperformed expectation. I know they're still down one of their main interior enforcers, a Claude up front. Turnovers have been an issue. They've played 2 D2 games after that last matchup. So I think 2 more tune-ups, the guards start to kind of get into a rhythm, a groove. I don't think you see them punting the ball into the stands like you did the last game. I like Morehead, the home dog here yet again in this rematch. Ky, where are you at here?
Yeah, to your point, Matt, the scary thing is turnovers. Morehead had 27 turnovers in that game.
27!
Still only lost by 3. EKU shot the ball poorly. That scares me. I mean, this game's going to be a track meet again, in my opinion. I lean the over for sure. But the spread's too high. I think Morehead is a tough, better team than most people think out there. Clearly, with the spread, we like it a lot at +6. So, yeah, I'm going back to the Morehead +6. EKU certainly has the ability to turn them over like crazy and shoot the crap out of the ball. But you got to trust the number on this one, and let's go Eagles.
Yeah, Matt and I had a little debate yesterday of whether it's like the MAC games where basically I think all 5 covers flipped, or all 4 of teams that played one versus the other. So that would
almost all dogs too. Almost all dogs, right? Like they got beat pretty badly, then they were feisty in that rematch spot.
That would lean towards Eastern Kentucky here since they did not cover, but they did win. So you do have more of like the Morehead State. We hung around with them. We almost won. We need this revenge game. Let's split the difference to start here. Matt, you mentioned that Morehead State played 2 Division II games. It should be mentioned that both these teams played Transylvania a combined 3 times over the past week. They basically passed back and forth.
Yeah, fighting Draculas. That's right. Yeah, it's a solid squad they have out there.
Yeah, poor Transylvania just being a tune-up squad for both these teams. Those poor guys. All right, let's hit the last one on the outline here. Northern Colorado at Colorado, a local battle in the Boulder State here. This is the first Division I game for Northern Colorado and their coach, Steve Smiley. He's taking over for Jeff Linder, who went up to Wyoming. Longtime assistant, though, so we're kind of trusting that he'll play similarly. He will value math equally. Take no mid-range, give up a ton of mid-range. That's the hope. Colorado, really strong defensive team. Kyle, go to you first here. Are you leaning towards the big boys, the big brother of Colorado, or do you think the other UNC has some value as a dog here?
Yeah, the real UNC, Jim. I'm a UNC backer. I think Steve Smiley is going to be a good coach for them. Like you said, he was an assistant under Linder who really built this program into a competitor in the Big Sky year after year. This is still a talented team. They're starting 5 juniors this season. It is their first D1 game, but Bodie Hume is the guy they have on their squad that's going to be a Big Sky Player of the Year contender. And one of their guards, Dalen Kuntz, who had like 17 points in their game against that non-D1 opponent. He used to play for the Colorado Buffs. He was a starter, I think, for a few games for them. So a little bit of a rivalry factor as well from that angle. So, yeah, Northern Colorado is a play for me at plus 14. I think they can hang with them.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm playing plus 14 as well. A little scared of that first D1 game, but yeah, I think they can hang around. We saw a couple teams playing their first D1 game recently that hung around. Weber State, Indiana State, yeah. New Mexico won at Rice. So it's, there's been a few. It's not completely dead in the water if you're debuting.
And they did play two D2 teams last week, Jim, and it looks like they won pretty handily. I can't say I have a robust scouting report on Colorado Christian or Regis.
You can't go into Regis and just think you're going
to
sleep.
That right there, that's the launching pad this team needs. No, I agree completely, though. This should be a close game. I think Colorado is sneaky good. Colorado a little bit overinflated this year. Some pretty impressive efforts to start, but I just don't think they can be better than last season, and they're almost playing to a higher number so far. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yep, so I think the lead is Northern Colorado. Okay. We did not mention the other Colorado game. I think we should at least hit it real quick here. Northern Arizona and Colorado State. I saw a couple people in chat mentioning this. Gerald Martinez included. Northern Arizona's had terrible shooting luck to start. I will just throw that out there. Opponents are hitting over 50% of their threes. The Lumberjacks hitting around 20%. So that doesn't help. And this is Colorado State's first D1 game. But I still lean towards the Rams. I think that offense can light up NAU, and I think Northern Arizona might just be pretty bad this year. What do you guys think, Kai?
Yeah, you can't back the Lumberjacks until you see them actually put a good performance together. And Colorado State's a team we think can be very competitive in the Mountain West. So I lean the Rams as well.
I will make that a consensus approval. However, I'm a little concerned that I was watching the ticker and saw Colorado State like neck and neck with Colorado State Pueblo.
You don't go into Pueblo and expect to win.
That's a huge rivalry game, man. That's a huge rivalry.
Just throw out the record books when these two teams take the court, Jim. So yeah, maybe if you read into that, maybe you argue the Colorado State struggles to pull away, but Northern Arizona hasn't been competitive in any game so far. So I don't know what makes tonight any different. So I think you guys are on the right side there.
Yep. All right. Let's talk futures really quick. Because there are so few games on the slate, we wanted to take a check-in with the futures market. I got a couple questions for these guys. Going to put them on the spot here. First of all, fellas, there is a great page on sbrodds.com that tracks futures at multiple different online books. Price Shop, Price Shop, Price Shop. Please do that. I got to ask, is Baylor undervalued at plus 850, plus 800 compared to Gonzaga at plus 450? Do we think those two should be pretty close to even? Matt, what do you think first?
I actually think it's a fair gap because if you look at the gap from Baylor to the number 3 team, which varies depending on where you look, it's about the same price differential. And if I look at my own power ratings, just kind of how I view the tiers of college basketball right now, I have Gonzaga tier 1, Baylor tier 2, everyone else tier 3. So I think it's fine on a relative basis to have Baylor kind of in no man's land there. And I think they have value. I think there's a scenario in which Baylor kind of creeps up into Gonzaga's weight class. It's such a shame we didn't get to see that bout happen last week, but I actually think there's a slight bit of value, but no like major market inefficiency with the pricing here.
Okay, Kai, what about you? Anything there?
I agree. There's value. It makes sense because think about Gonzaga's schedule the remainder of the year. There's a good chance they run the table in the WCC. Baylor has to run through the Big 12, which features 4 to 5 top 10 teams. So
that's a very good point.
From this perspective right now, today on 12-14, I think it's a fair pricing.
Yep. All right. The other team I really need to ask about, guys, Duke is still up there 25-1, basically top 10. Yeah. Matt, is that fair? I know we sort of still buy the long-term outlook for this team, but they look bad right now. Do you think they should be lower, or are you saying just stay away? Those odds are too high right now.
Well, so I have that juxtaposed next to Kentucky, Jim, who is even lower in some places twice, or you're getting double the value. So you line those two side by side. I'd rather take Kentucky. I think the ceiling of these teams is comparable, although Duke, I think, is the better team now and maybe has a slightly higher ceiling in 2 months. If you're looking at two blue bloods, trying to buy low on those who have struggled early, just betting that, it's just going to take time for these teams to put it all together, I would take Kentucky if you had to choose one of those two. But yeah, I mean, Duke's kind of a tough team to peg right now. The sophomores that have returned have been basically nothings except for Matthew Hurt. Freshmen are inconsistent at best. The guard play is a little shaky. A lot of holes there for Coach K to patch up, especially when you're going to not play that huge non-conference matchup with Gardner-Webb. So that's going to be a huge impediment to them getting better before conference play.
Right. Yeah. I think if you like Kentucky, you take them now because I don't think their value is getting any lower. I keep saying they're going to turn it around, but they keep proving to be just look terrible on the court. The comeback against Notre Dame was at least some sort of life sign from them. Duke, I think they will turn it around. I'm not sure we've reached their trough yet in value from a futures perspective, so I might wait on that one.
Yeah, if you want to take Duke.
If you want to take Duke.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, they go on the road to Notre Dame to start ACC play. The team that just beat Kentucky. Maybe Notre Dame puts Duke in their nadir of value as well.
Yeah.
All right, and then three other teams I just want to get real quick. Do you think these teams have value where they're at right now? Louisville, Michigan, Clemson. Louisville I specifically ask about because they've been great and they're not even healthy yet. So we haven't seen the best version of this team. Do we think there's a little bit of value on the Redbirds here, Kai?
Yeah, for sure. They're a team that's going to get better and better, Jim. They're looking good even without Malik Williams, Charles Menlin. When those guys come back, certainly January, I would hope, this is going to be a much better basketball team, a team that can get in a position to be a top 3 seed in March.
Yeah, we said wait to play them, I think, in our initial futures kickoff show. And they're looking 40 to anywhere from 40 to 1 to 71, depending on what you're looking at. And I think, you may even be able to wait another week or so. Maybe they have another tough stretch of games, but don't wait too long because there's definitely value in this team. I think by March we're saying this is a 20 to 1 type odds of a team.
Yep. I just also want to say Mizzou is not even on the odds page.
Yeah,
and that's
so disrespectful.
We're a top 20 squad this year,
but fitting, I guess. Yeah.
All right, that wraps up. Do you guys want to give a best value pick? Do you have one that you really like on the board? All right, Matt, we'll go to you.
West Virginia, as I talked about in the intro. I'm seeing 30 to 1 in some places. I'm sorry, they're 31 to start of the year. Now they're up to 20 to 1. To me, this is definitely a top 5 team. You could argue they're the third best team in the country, not named Gonzaga and Baylor. Just what I've seen from them so far, they have some guards who are actually making shots. Derek Culver has reclaimed the mantle of the best West Virginia big after it seemed like Big Oscar the Grouch Tshiebwe took it from him last year. Culver's no, I'm the elder one of our dynamic upfront duo. I'm the enforcer here, and he's been phenomenal. Just an absolute tank inside. So yeah, I think the ears at 20 to 1 are a great bet right now.
Kai, what do you got?
I'm liking Tennessee still. I think I saw him 21 to 1 yesterday. The Vols, clearly 2-0. We haven't seen too much of them. They haven't done anything wrong yet, though. That defense, Jim, like you said earlier, is ridiculous. So Tennessee.
Yeah, a team that also has a high ceiling with the freshmen that came in and a lot of experience back. So yeah, I'm intrigued by the Vols as well. All right, guys, let's get to best bets. We have belabored the point long enough. Kai, we haven't touched on one game yet on this show because it is your best bet. What do you got in the William and Mary heading on the road, to George Washington game today?
Guys, I'm excited because I get to fade George Washington, a team that I just despised this year after backing up early. William and Mary plus 6.5 is my best bet. They haven't played in a few weeks. So, if you're one of those people that buy into the COVID situation, be a little bit weary in this game. It's been a while since they've played. I just think George Washington's kind of hot garbage. And Dane Fisher on the sidelines of William and Mary can flat out coach. Yuri Covington is a real deal. Freshman point guard for them. He was able to help the Tribe hang tough against Old Dominion, despite Thornton Scott being out, arguably William and Mary's best player. Thornton Scott might be back tonight. I hope he is. That would be a big boost to this bet. Even if he's not, though, I think 6.5 is a number William and Mary can cover. And George Washington plays, guys, a terrible, terrible zone. It's awful. And William and Mary, all they're doing is looking to shoot, and they can shoot. So I like the Tribe in this one. I need to keep it close.
Kyle, step in just because I'm seeing 5.5 all the way across the board. Do you maintain your position at 5.5?
Wow, because I got 6.5 in my SBR. Maybe I got to reload this thing. I maintain my position, though, if you're going to give me 5.5, Jim. Yes.
Yep, I agree. The reason this William and Mary team has fallen off is because they've lost all their bigs. They have nothing inside. George Washington's not going to beat them up inside. They can they can hit shots against the zone. They can hopefully defend a little bit against the perimeter shooting of George Washington. So yeah, I'm riding with Ky here. I will take that plus 5.5 as well.
5.5 it is.
I don't agree. I don't disagree. I'm going to sit on the fence for this one, but I will nudge folks toward a total. I don't know who in the world is betting this under. It's opened at 115.5. Now it's down to 147. As Ky mentioned, there's no bigs for William & Mary. George Washington can score at will at the rim. They should, if they get hot from three, they could put up 80, 90 in a hurry. And then on the flip side, we know George Washington is, allergic to playing defense effectively. So I think there's points galore in this game. Maybe if you're looking for a buyback value late play here, I'd take the over.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in that as well. I wanted to take the over, but the number seemed right before. All right, Matt, what about you? Best bet. I think we've already mentioned it, so We'll go to you.
Rutgers side, I'm still seeing 2.5, 2 in most places. If you can get 3, that would be delicious, but it sounds like that value's been gobbled up. That's fine. 2.5 should be enough. I just think Rutgers wins. They're the better team. The home court value that I would typically reside in a Big Ten conference game just isn't there this year. I think it's arguably cut in half from what you've seen in prior years, especially last season when it was playing until 4 or 5 points to start. The only concern is Rutgers coming off that really big emotional win at Syracuse. Are they flat?
Home to Syracuse.
At home to Syracuse. Thank you. Are they flat here? I'm inclined to think no. Again, it's a conference game. This one matters. We saw them go on the road last year. I think that trend continues this season. Take this route at nights here. Jim, what's your best bet of the night here?
Same game. I'm pretty with you on the side there. Not locking it in though, but the under 137. I think both teams kind of defend a little bit. Maryland's been crazy hot shooting the ball, at least until that Clemson game where they came crashing back down to earth. And we talked about the tempo at the top, that we think that this will slow down. It'll be a little bit of a brawl starting the Big Ten play here. So yeah, the under. Matt's got Rutgers. Ky's got William & Mary. Those are the best bets. Guys, I think we talked about every game on the slate, so that pretty much wraps it up for the day. Matt, anything from the chat that we missed?
No, we didn't.
Talk Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, Central Arkansas. Should we do a full diatribe in 1v1 here, or 1v1v1? I have no strong opinions on this. I was maybe liking the over. Ky, do you have any takes on this matchup?
Small play on Central Arkansas, but just like Sam Houston State, I'm not confident in my Southland dudes going against the SEC today.
The total has gone way up to 155, so I'm not touching it.
Sense. Yeah.
Central Arkansas just plays crazy up and down games, and Ole Miss has been scoring the ball pretty well early this season, so nothing for me there, unfortunately. Andrew just asking about Longwood Radford. We like the under at Radford there. Yep. LSU lean towards the dog in the under with the early start. No Will Wade, but nothing too definitive there. That is it, boys. Great Monday show. Folks, remember, pretend you're a Kentucky fan, smash that panic button, aka the like button, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, SBR Sports. Check out sportsbookreview.com. Check out sbrodds.com, SBR Bets. Lots of great resources for you out there on their site. Head over there, and we will see you tomorrow morning, Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Catch you then.